my top 10 regrettable purchases. Number 10, 2015, I was on a very, very big football game spree. It was really when my became not just I was obsessed with football and going to football games. And for the first 3 weeks of the 2015 NFL season, I attended games at the Bills Stadium, Ralph Wilson Stadium, Highmark Stadium. I have no idea what it's called anymore. But I went to the Bills Colts in week 1. And then I went to Bills Patriots in week 2 because it was really hyped up. And actually, I don't know if this was week 3 or 4. I can't recall now. But the Giants came to town. It was the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Giants. And I had we'll call him a dealer. He's a ticket dealer. And he was setting me up with tickets. And I purchased 3 tickets because I was told that 2 other people were interested in these tickets. And they weren't cheap at the time because the Bills were 1-1. They had beaten the Colts and they had lost the Patriots. And there was hope in 2015 for this team. And I go there, and then I come to find out that the middleman between me and 2 people buying tickets neglected to tell me before the game that these people weren't showing up. And he had a I'm going to swear, he had a half-assed apology for it, but I was so pissed off, I became not violently drunk, but I was very drunk. And I got so upset that I was sitting there at this game alone when I had driven up with a group of friends that I left the game. It was not fun. Actually, I was so inebriated that when I got back to my friend's van, who were they were still in the game in their own section and hanging out and having a good time, I fell asleep. I fell asleep sitting down behind the van that I drove up, waiting for the game to be over with. And yeah, it was bad. I am actually surprised there was not a picture of me floating around in Bills Mafia land of me sitting down behind a truck, sleeping at a Bills game while a Bills game was going on. I was heated, and I haven't talked to this dude in years. Like the middleman. I haven't talked to him in years, but I've been more like, I didn't go to any more Bills games after that year. And I was just a lot more careful about who I was buying tickets for. Like, I'm not just going to buy a bunch of tickets and hope I'm going to find somebody. No, if I'm going to buy tickets, there's going to be a financial commitment from everybody else, because I obviously didn't make my money back on that day. So Bills versus Giants game in 2015, that is my number 10. A lot of trust issues from that, and yeah, just taking care of numero uno. If I'm gonna go to a game with somebody, there's gonna be a financial commitment from them before I start purchasing tickets and putting my own self at risk. Number 9. This one is tough. Because when I was getting into podcasting, I knew the struggle of trying to figure it all out, trying to put things together, right? I didn't know where to start, and I had planned to do a podcast probably 2 or 3 years before I actually started doing one. And I was fortunate to have some guidance from some very good people on where to start, what to purchase to get going. But I was also overly generous to friends, people who I still love and adore to this day. The only regret that I have is I wish I hadn't spent as much money on trying to support them or giving them a bit of a kickstart to get their dream of starting a podcast going. I bought audio mixers for a handful of friends, a pretty good handful of friends, and to my knowledge, only 2 of those friends ended up using them at all. All right, and this really grinds my gears in hindsight, because but again, it's my fault. They didn't ask for me to buy them an audio mixer. I generously did it, but it upset me to see that it's almost an investment. I didn't want anything back. Like, if I have money, I will take care of people that I love and care about. That is so important to me, and that's a way of showing my love to people, is buying them buying that stuff to help support their dreams or their goals or whatever it may be. I want to show my love, and I do that through gifts. But purchasing audio mixers was a big financial mistake, especially when I think, again, only 2 people ended up using it, maybe even 1 at the most. And again, I love them dearly. I just wish I hadn't spent as much on that. Now I do. I actually do. I still purchase things to help my friends podcast. I do USB microphones, much like the one I'm doing right here, because it's a lot cheaper. It's still relatively pricey, but it's a way of saying, hey, I love you, I believe in you, but you also have to do some of the legwork in purchasing a laptop or this or that. Yeah, that was tough. I'm a little bit more stingier with who I send stuff to. That's for sure. But yes, audio mixers for friends is my number 9, because there's been several of those mistakes. Let's go number 8. So pro wrestling, it's basically, it feels like on the independent level, a giant pyramid scheme. In a sense, at least some of the places that I worked for. There were times, like it was very encouraged or almost mandatory sometimes to pay for camps that came through before the show, and they were very poorly organized classes more often than not. These bad structure where you just wrestle a basic match and get critiqued by somebody who more often than not does not give a crap about your future in the business of professional wrestling. This is a split one. I'm going to add to it in a moment, but there were a few times where I spent $25, $30, $40 on camps that didn't benefit me at all, right? And then eventually there came a point where I started to see through the BS. You know, there was this guy in Canada, this carny jerk in Canada, who was trying to get me to sign up for a Jeff Jarrett camp, which is cool. Like, he's been places, but it was a false promise of getting into an organization that Jeff Jarrett wasn't affiliated with even remotely anymore. Like, it was big time news that he got kicked out, and this guy was like hounding me. He goes, "Come on, you want to do the Jarrett camp? Come on." And I'm just like, I'm not. I've been through this before, dude. Like, just stop. You're a carny, and I don't trust you. And he's been in the news multiple times for stealing money and whatnot. But pro wrestling camps, a lot of them have been more disappointed or not. More disappointing than not. Also, where I came from in wrestling, ticket selling was a big time thing. And now, as a kid whose dream was to wrestle, if I didn't sell enough tickets, I didn't get on the shows. So what I would do to wrestle, and this was, it wasn't openly encouraged, but I have a philosophy behind this. I'll explain it. But basically, I would pay for tickets so I can wrestle. And again, stupid me. The challenge was, like, I was also living an hour and a half away from home while I was doing this. And, like, again, it's a business model that worked. I believe that, you know, obviously pro wrestling is about making people money, right? The more money you bring in, the more money you make. But I feel like promoters should be promoting and handling a lot of the ticket stuff. Wrestlers handle the wrestling aspect, come in and entertain. And the lines were blurred. And I was, again, out of my element. Here I am. I'm trying to be the best version of myself and wrestle wherever I could. And now I got to worry about selling tickets for a wrestling show that it was an hour and a half away from where I actually lived, not a temporary stay in Rochester. We're going to be talking about that in a little bit too. But so I would pay essentially to wrestle and not get paid more often than not. Again, maybe my fault, maybe not. But I just, it's sad in hindsight. It's really sad that that was that way, that I was so afraid to show up without ticket money in hand because I wouldn't be able to be given a spot to wrestle, that I would spend my hard-earned money on that. And I didn't have a lot back then when I was wrestling, and I was grateful for the spots that didn't make me do that. But there was a lot of like, even when I moved back home, people were still trying to get like mailing me tickets to sell, and I'm like, this is goofy. But I think there just should be a different of that. But that's definitely regrettable. Because I didn't want to be a local hero. I wanted to, like a local once a month, once every other month kind of guy, hero. I wanted to do bigger and better things. And yes, paying your dues, understand that. But also it doesn't look good when all the ticket sellers wrestled in the first 3 or 4 matches and their family and supporters have left, and your main event is sitting there with with empty chairs, with nobody sitting in them. So that is my number 8. Number 7. I thought the more money that you spent on things, at one point, I thought the more money that you spent on things, the cooler you would be. All right. There was a point where those material possessions were everything. And I thought, man, if I had expensive clothes, people would really like me. And boy, was I wrong. I once spent $150 on a pair of sunglasses from Oakley. And they were really cool. All right. It was a see-through, like transparent band. The actual like lens was like, it was like a reddish tint. It looked really cool and it caught my eye. And I purchased these things, and they ended up breaking. So first of all, that was stupid. That sucked. But I just like it's all again sad that I found value. Like that's the way I seen. Like I had to buy stuff and put on this front to be accepted. And now there's no shame. There's no shame at all. I fully understand, and more often, like I really don't. At this point, I don't care. All right, I'm past the point of acceptance. I really am. If you want to make fun of me for being fiscally responsible by buying $10 Walmart shoes that are actually pretty comfortable, you have issues. You're the problem. You are the problem. That's what I have to say about that. But yeah, just spending money on clothes, like I don't care. Like I'm a functionality over function over quality, function over, I'm trying to think of the word, but function is the most important thing to me. Like I don't need big name brands. I will shop at Walmart with no shame. And you know what? Those of you who made fun of people for shopping at Payless shoe stores back in the day, shame on you. Because now they're not around anymore, and we could have been paying less for shoes, even though Walmart kind of soaked that up. But again, the point remains, I feel like you're dumb if you pay an exorbitant amount of money for something that, I don't know, is like expensive clothes. I don't know. I don't get the validation anymore, and that's just me. That's just me. You know, I obviously I'm not really the best dresser, so it doesn't matter. But that's my number 7. Number 6. So after I had my previous relationship ended, bad breakup, and whatnot, I was quick. I was like, I need to find a new relationship. This is a new opportunity for me. I'm a new man. Little did I know how damaged goods I was for probably the first 3 to 4 months. And maybe deep down, maybe I'm still damaged goods to this day. I don't know. I think I turned out all right. But after my relationship in Rochester ended, I came back home. I moved back home, and I was dating like a wild man. All right, going out on dates with people who I was interested in, hoping for the best. Hopefully, somebody could replace the void in my heart from my previous relationship. There were 3 movies that I seen way more times than I would care to admit, but I'm going to admit them today. Going out on dates between late April of 2013 to probably June. These 3 movies, which I've seen each of them at least twice, some of them 3 times, and I'm going to explain. Iron Man 3, The Internship, and Fast and Furious 6. Okay, 3 films that I watched over and over again because I was, let's go at it. first dates at the movies are a terrible, terrible idea. Just FYI. But I did it. Because I wanted to go out. I wanted to go be with people, and I wanted to fill that void in my heart and soul. So I've seen these 3 films multiple times over, not saying at all, again, my fault, not saying at all, not mentioning at all, that I had already seen these movies previously, all right? The first time is great. First time you see a movie is great. Second time, the one I did 3 times, which was definitely The Internship, definitely at least that one, maybe even Iron Man 3 a third time, just downright exhausted. But I put on a front, and it goes to show you that, yes, I was damaged goods, and yes, I still had a lot to learn about being honest with myself and being honest about myself and not putting on a front. I hate those movies now. I absolutely hate. I mean, Iron Man 3 was a big spiral downward from the previous entries. Internship wasn't bad, but I don't know. Most comedies you see once and that's it. And I don't care for Fast and Furious franchise. I don't. It was unique the first couple, but now it's just ridiculous. I think it's great. People love it though. I mean, if you love it, good on you. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So a lot of spending money on those. We know movies, theaters aren't cheap. Food, drinks are expensive. Tickets are pretty expensive. A lot of money spent on relationships that went nowhere at all. So, all right, that's my number 6. Number 5, we are going to go with purchasing Madden for consecutive years. I didn't understand why back in the day my dad would only buy Madden every other year. All right. And he bought Madden every other year in an era where it was actually kind of changing. The game was actually evolving pretty well. He'd buy like 97, 99, 01, 03. He would skip every other year. And I didn't understand it. Now I do. I was really big into Madden, all right? Especially, again, 2015, coming along, really excited, hyped up for football. Like, I'm all in now. I'm all in. I've always liked it, but now I'm all in football. So Madden, have to have it. If you want your, like, football card to be like, if you want honor amongst football fans, it's like you got to play Madden, I guess. It feels like that way. And so from 2017 to 2023, I purchased the game every single year. And towards the end of that spiral, I started to regret it because the features just kept being taken away. It was funny, actually, over the holidays, or this past holiday, I popped in Madden 15 or 16, and I could not believe how diverse the playbook was right out of the gate. It was so much better than what I had played in Madden 20. Like 23 was the last one that I played. So much better than that, okay? I regret spending the money on it every year. I don't need these roster updates. Why am I spending $60, $70 on a roster update? And that's genuinely how I feel. I don't think EA's done a good enough job to improve the game over the years. And that's why, like, there was times I'd buy it, I'd play a full season, and then never touch it again. Just never touch it again. I didn't care anymore. It was so lost on me. Like this, the hype and the good feeling. Like I was just dead inside every time I played Madden. It is fun. I gotta admit, it is fun to play it amongst friends. But yeah, buying it consecutive years in a row, not great. Colts fan too. I'm like, oh, I really want to see this person in a Colts uniform. I really want to see it. So if you know anything about the Colts over the last several years, we have a new quarterback one every single year. So there was a lot of that. So let's go through the Colts history. Guys, all right. So you got Andrew Luck, obviously excited to play as him. Then you buy it, and then Andrew Luck retires, so you get Jacoby. And then it hurts even more because Andrew Luck is still in the game, starting as QB1, so it breaks your soul. Phillip Rivers, my favorite Colts journeyman quarterback to come through since Andrew Luck's retirement. Since Andrew Luck's retirement. Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, and then Anthony Richardson, which, whatever. at this point. But yes, I very much regret spending money on Madden. I really thought they were going to turn the corner. You know, I watched that whole EA Sports documentary, and it was actually really good, but it's just same old, same old. They've lost so much. They're so head in the cloud, figuratively and literally, but just the online mode, the Madden Ultimate Team stuff, I don't care about that. Give me training camp mode. Give me a lot of the features from the early 2000s. Like, that's the stuff, GM, like an actual good GM mode. That's the stuff that I miss. I really, really do. So, Madden, that's my that. All right, that was my number 5. We're going to go to my number 4. T-shirts. Buying T-shirts for my podcasts. So when it comes to pro wrestling, it's encouraged that you buy merchandise to sell at shows because people will buy it. All right, the more that you sell, the more money you make. All right, because obviously you go into shows, you're performing. There's a limited amount of money that you can really earn because indie shows don't make a ton of money. So you get merchandise and you have an opportunity to make more money. You buy T-shirts, hats, stickers, all sorts of silly stuff. I've seen guys selling iPhone chargers and light up axes at shows and old wrestling DVDs. In a day and age of streaming services, still selling DVDs, and they make good money. So I thought naturally when I start podcasting, and I had merch, but when I was wrestling, but I wasn't super thorough. But when I got to podcasting, I was like, oh, I'll follow this mindset. All right, I'm going to get T-shirts made. And I spent a lot of money on bad T-shirts. A lot of money. And I went nowhere. Actually, they went in the garbage. That's where they went. Especially my football show. I spent a lot of money on shirts for that. But I couldn't sell them. And I couldn't even get rid of them. And that was the worst thing of all. There was one shirt that I did really good with, and I got to give a shout out to my boy Seaham. He designed my old football podcast was called the 2-Point Conversation. And I'm really fond of Tecmo Super Bowl. So I had him do the 2-Point Conversation font, or 2-Point Conversation lettering, text, and the Tecmo Super Bowl font. And, it went really well. But for the most part, there were so many other shirts that I had made, paying a pretty good amount of money to get these shirts made, and again, they just sat in boxes for years and couldn't get rid of them. Just like, please take these things. I will do shirts at some point. I will do merchandise for Eat Sleep Bliss as long as the page continues to grow, or the channel continues to grow. Which, shout out to everybody. Thank you so much for joining it. At time of recording, over the last week, our page shot up almost 20 subscribers, which is awesome. And I know a lot of it comes from the shorts content. But the fact that you're a part of it is awesome. So I'm thinking if we get over 100 subscribers, I might start to do merch. But it's also low-risk merch now because I know ways to do it where it's not a really financial burden on me and I only profit from it. Even if it's only a couple bucks here and there. That's better than nothing, right? So T-shirts for podcasts. That is my number 4. Number 3. A couple years ago, I was very, very motivated to do things. Everything I did had to be big. And I've been podcasting for about a year, and I had a very good group of friends in podcasting, part of the network at bicbp-radio.com. I still run it now to this day, and the Eat Sleep List podcast is on there. I call it the multiverse of this show because I'm a very, very different person on that show than I am here. But I organized this PodCon, this Western New York PodCon showcase because I knew a great group of people this community of people that I wanted to showcase their podcasts. So I rented out this hall, paid my money with it. My money straight out of my pocket, my money to rent this building out. And I'm hyping this up, right? I'm like, hey, if you want to be a part of this, like I'm covering just show up and be there. Because my mentality, again, I'm not very well business oriented, but my mentality is if you're there, people will come to see you and pay money at the door to come and watch you podcast or come and hang out or come and meet these other places. And I also wanted it to be an opportunity for people to sell merchandise. A lot of people agreed to it. I got them on the poster, which we made a really cool poster. There was like pulling teeth to get the poster ready to go. I will admit that. But we got the poster. And then they're just like, no, I'm not coming. Or they show up for a little bit and not do anything. They would show up, do their set, and leave. I also wanted people to make merchandise and have stuff to sell. All right? I said, I always encouraged it. Obviously, I bit off more than I could chew, but I was like, hey, you've known about this for months. Why don't you have shirts? Why don't you have something to sell? Why you're just sitting here doing nothing? And I don't know, maybe 20, 25 people came to the door. I don't even know if it was that much. And but I spent a lot of money to get stuff organized and spent a lot of time and energy on this. And just the help wasn't where I needed it to be, even though everybody was pretty well educated on what the rules were, at least from my perspective, told everybody to do it. But it was embarrassing, to say the least. It was embarrassing. I felt bad for everybody who paid money to come to that, just because the lack of effort by a lot of shows, just a lot of empty tables, and it's just, I don't know, in chairs, doing these sets. I'm like, we got live podcast sets, where is everybody? It's doing these things, these live recordings in front of 3 or 4 people. It was so sad and depressing. And I'm still psychologically damaged from that, because I know I could have done better maybe. There's a big regret, but I wanted to do it in 2020. I wanted to try it one more time. COVID happened. We did an online only one at my studio, which was pretty fun. But then after that, I just had a hard time organizing people, and then just the willpower. Because people just, I'm doing this, I'm putting myself out there, presenting this, and the effort is not being reciprocated. I'm putting myself on the line, my financial situation on the line, to help people, because I love helping people. I really, truly do. I don't want a whole lot in return, and the effort wasn't there. So that's why I don't really podcast a whole lot. I don't put myself out there a lot. I do this show alone, because help it. You can only lead a horse to water, and I've led way too many people to water in podcasting, and they just won't drink. So I have to be selfish at this point to just protect myself. So PodCon 2019, very, very much regret it. It was a rough event in hindsight. Number 2, college. My number 2 regret is college. I am still paying for college. I'm still paying back financial aid for a degree that I never earned, for a institution that I tried twice, that it didn't pan out. It didn't work great. I have a different perspective of college now, and actually it's more so I regret paying for college when I did, because I feel like I can start college now and I'd be a much better student. I'm a little bit more calmer, a lot more wiser, a lot better with time management. Again, I'm not fiending for a social life. So my focus would therefore be school. But obviously I have a kid, I have a wife, I have bills to pay. And those are my priorities. And while I could do it, and while I maybe just making excuses for myself, I don't see a point. I've got a pretty damn good job. It's just I know, plus 2, I know so many people who've earned college degrees over the last 10 years that aren't using their college degree. That's tragic to pay all that money and do that. And in fact, I was going to school for physical education. And as soon as that financial aid cleared and you couldn't get any more of a refund for dropping out, the teacher, some of my phys ed teachers were like, yeah, less than a quarter of you are going to be phys ed teachers somewhere. And most of you are going to have to move away and this and that. And I was like, I don't like this. But I think in a different life, I definitely would have waited, paused. I was so excited about freedom and my wrestling time in the sport was like coming to a close, and I just wanted to have a social life. I wanted to actually have a social life. And I did not take college seriously the first time. And the second time I was doing pretty good. It's actually going to bleed to my number one. I was doing pretty good until some stuff and things happened. But college is something that I'm still paying the price for today. So definitely regret that. And my number one, all right, this long-winded, regrettable purchase episode is coming to a close, is my whole experience moving to Rochester. Now, I will specify, I have met some great people from Rochester. Some of them I absolutely adore. Shout out to my buddy Brandon, who we call Coconut Jones in wrestling. My buddy Rob Sweet. I'm excited to go to his wedding in June. My buddy Dan and friends Dan and Nate, who lived in worked with me at Dick's Sporting Goods in Greece. I think it's Greece Ridge Mall. They worked with me there and a few others, but I regret. I went there for all of the wrong reasons. It was a second chance at school. I went up there because my pro wrestling school was up there, and I thought it'd be closer. You know, it'd be nice to be closer. I had met somebody from there, and I moved up there, but it was just a nonstop money pit, and I felt alone. Even though I was there with people, I was there with my significant other at the time, and had purchased some commitment jewelry. We'll just say that. I regret that. I was alone. I wasn't with my people. I was with a whole herd of animals. And it's especially hard, too, because you find out a lot of people that I thought I was close to back then. I really wasn't. Like, there was, they weren't real, genuine friendships. And Rochester, to me, thinking about it, it's a lot of pain. It's a lot of hard times. It's a lot of suffering. And I feel like that was like a breaking point for me. Was it a tough lesson? Yes. Yes, it absolutely was. It was my first taste of freedom. Okay. I was away from home. I was on my own, and I had to make responsible choices at 21 years old. And boy, did I fail at that. So I do regret it, although I am grateful that, you know, there were some hard lessons that shaped me, but it was also a time period that kind of ruined me at the same time. So moving to Rochester is my number one, and that is my list. My top 10 regrettable purchases. I could have did a top 50, I can assure you with that, but that is it, everybody.